Lots of virgin Bavarians in. It's look at that. That's virgin Bavarians. You've never been before. I love it. I love it when that happens. Basically, I've got a list of all your names, and in a minute, I'm going to call a name out. Come up here, give a 15-minute talk about something you love, and that's great. No, that's not going to happen. Just excuse me a second. Just shut the door. Right. So what have you come to? You come to the Bavard Bar. You will see in a minute, in a few minutes, what will happen, and hopefully you will have a lovely evening. But I'm not going to explain it. I'll let you discover it as the night goes on. And I don't pick on you. I don't pick on anybody. So all the speakers are booked. But I will just tell you quickly about a couple of wild cards that I've introduced. That if you feel the mood, then you would be very welcome to come up and have a little go at, there's two intervals, and you can have a little go, as some of our speakers tonight have done, as you will find out, at one or two of the wild cards. So that's the first one, which some of you, I think, mentioned to me earlier, Kino-teatr nights, which they do in Bexhill and all around the world. And I kind of based this little feature on that. Essentially, I have 6 mystery slides that I put up on the screen, and they stay on the screen for 15 seconds each. So it's a minute and a half, and you don't know the slides when you come up and you stand up and you talk to the slides for a minute and a half. A bit like, you just make it up, effectively. A bit like Prime Minister's questions, but a little bit shorter and without the questions and without the Prime Minister. So not very much like Prime Minister's questions, but...
Well, it's more like Amber's answers.
Yes. Exactly that. It is. It's all made up. So if you want to have a go at that, then you can just find me in one of the intervals, and you can say you'd love to do that, and you would be very welcome. We've had some wonderful, wonderful KP lights, and I film everything, so everything goes on the web. It all goes viral. And then we have this, which is a new feature, newish. Started this in the new year, called Uja Kapivi. Which someone who may be in the audience tonight, I don't know, contacted me a while ago and said they wanted to give a talk about this Uja Kapivi, which is a Hastings Old Town expression. It means effectively thingamy-bob, so Uja Maflip, etc., etc. So they are going to give a talk later in the year, but it gave me an idea to sort of come up with a new little feature that I've called Uja Kapivi. And essentially, if you want to have a go at this, then in one of the breaks, come and find me, tell me an unusual fact about yourself that's true, and I will write that down, and I have a number of unusual facts that are not true in my pocket, and then I'll call you up probably before the last speaker when people have had a lot to drink, and I'll offer you the 2 bits of paper. You'll take one of the bits of paper. If it's your true fact, well, essentially you have to laugh and fool the audience, okay? So we will ask you questions, and we will try and catch you out, and if it's your true fact, the only rule is you have to tell the truth. But we've had some wonderful Uja Kapivis. In fact, you're in for a real treat tonight with the speakers, because 2 of our speakers tonight have done Uja Kapivis at this very venue. In fact, one of the speakers did the first ever. That was you, Glenys. I saw you a second ago. Yes, Glenys. She claimed she was a grass track racing car driver. I think that's right. Yeah, fooled you. So you did very well. And then we had the second one, Stephen Brown, who's giving a talk later, did a fantastic one. He claimed that he had posed for a naked calendar, and again fooled the audience and had given me a picture of him posing for said naked calendar, which I then displayed to the delight of the assembled Bavarians. So that's that, and then this new feature which I've introduced, I based it on what hasn't, called it Bohemia Road, which of course if you live in St Leonard's or Hastings you will know. No one knows the rules to this game, no one's ever played it. So if you want to play that, feel free. It's like Mornington Present, but that is all we know. And that's it. So they're the little kind of wild card things that you can do if you wish. Just come and find me in the interval. But I will in a minute, I will in a minute give the big reveal for the speakers, but before I do that, I wanted to have a blatant attempt at raising the Bavard Bar's social media presence. And I don't know, how many of you follow the Bavard Bar on Twitter? Look at that, there's 3. 4. Well, actually, to be honest, that's pretty much all of the followers. You're all here. But yes, I have a very kind of low social media presence, and I'm trying to raise it. So I thought, why not? I might just mention, I might mention it tonight just before I introduce the speakers. Anyway, I don't know if you've have you come across the Flat Earth Society? Are there any Flat Earthers in? Please say no. Oh, no. I'm going to ignore that hand for the sake of the next couple of minutes. But I don't know if you saw this Twitter thread, this was last year, Elon Musk. Why is there no Flat Mars Society? To which the Flat Earth Society said, thanks for the question, unlike the Earth, Mars has been observed to be round. And the Flat Earth Society, I don't know if you know them, but they're not serious. They're not serious. But this weekend, I took an opportunity to raise the Bavard Bar social media profile because I was just on Twitter a bit, and I follow a guy called Mitch Benn. Do you know Mitch Benn? He's a sort of a comedian and guitarist. And he got embroiled in a heated discussion about the Flat Earth Society, about the Flat Earth, with a chap called, or his Twitter handle was Thelonious Monk. I don't think it's the original newspaper, who's of course dead, but, you know. Anyway, he got into this debate, this thread on Twitter, and it was being retweeted, and there were thousands of likes, and I sort of saw this great opportunity to jump in and raise the Bavard Bar social media profile. So the sort of thread with between Ben and Thelonious Monk here. Thelonious Monk claims that Newton was a Freemason fraud. So not only is the Earth flat, gravity doesn't exist either. I don't know if you were aware that that's what flat earthers think. But there's no such thing as gravity. Newton was a fraud, to which Mitch Benn said, well, feel free to test it, I'll drive you to Beachy Head, which I thought was very good. So I seized my opportunity because they then started to discuss the edge. You know, where is the edge to this flat earth, and why has no one seen it, why has no one been there? And I follow a satirical newspaper online called the Rochdale Herald. I don't know, anybody aware of them?
Yep, my friend writes for them.
Oh, look at that, brilliant. Well, they are very good. And they had posted this next slide up, and I thought, well, I'm gonna throw this into this Twitter thread, and I will see my followers quadruple. I think at the time there were 140. So I kind of got ready, it was Saturday morning, to throw this into this Twitter inferno. So I stuck this in. The Earth isn't flat, cats would have pushed everything off the edge by now if it was confirmed scientists. And I thought that was great, and I thought that would help the debate. So I threw it in and sat back waiting for my phone to literally explode. Nothing. In fact, if I'm entirely honest, my followers dropped to 139. So if you want us to follow me on Twitter, I'd be really grateful. But you don't have to at all. And my tweets are my tweets are not that interesting. It's mainly just about me running with my dog. So, you know, you're not going to learn anything. So that's a blatant attempt to raise the Bavard Bar social media profile. But you haven't come here for that. What you have come here for is the Bavarders and their wonderful talks that they're going to share with us tonight. But before that happens, I will tell you that in the audience we also have our Bavardist, Andrew Harston, who was here last month. And Andrew will draw and illustrate, and you won't paint, will you, Andrew, tonight? Drawing the speakers, and then in the breaks I will put his pictures up so you can see them, and it's a wonderful thing. So that's you were here for the first time last month, and your images are online, I think. So that's great. So you will see Andrew's artwork happening live before your eyes, which is very exciting. But I am extremely excited. I'm going to introduce the speakers tonight, and then call the first one up to give a talk. We literally have a fantastic range of speakers. 3 brilliant first-class speakers. So the first speaker is David Bramwell, and he's going to talk to you about his life with the Alpine time travelers. Now, I should mention, David, tonight for me is a bit like being Ofsteded, because David hosts the Catalyst Club in Brighton, which is it 14 years now, David?
It is.
14 years has been going, and the Catalyst Club is based on exactly the same premise as the Bavard Bar. Or one could say that the Bavard Bar is based on the same premise as the Catalyst Club, but that would be truer since I set this up a year ago and nicked it off David. So David's brainchild was the Catalyst Club, and I've started this over in St Leonard's in Eastbourne, so it's David's inspiration. It's a wonderful club. If you are in Brighton, it's the second Thursday, isn't it, David?
It is.
In Brighton. So it's a wonderful night, but as I say, it is like being Ofsteded for me, because I did ask David if he would give me his blessing to set it up, and he did, and now he's here and making notes and marking me, and I'll probably get a report later. So David is going to give a wonderful talk, I know, because I've heard him many times, My Life with the Alpine Time Travellers. I should also say that, David, I think you arrange, or you certainly help coordinate the Brighton Festival, don't you, which is coming up? No, you don't. No, but you've got an event in it, though.
What was the question? Do I coordinate it?
Yeah.
I've got some events on the Fringe and a show in the main festival.
The Frit, right. Yeah, and what's your show this year?
It's called The Cult of Water.
The Cult of Water. What's the date of that?
The 27th of May, but we're doing it in Hastings on the
6th of May.
Sunday the 6th
Sunday,
of
6th of
May.
May,
At the
yeah.
Hastings Museum.
Excellent. So that's The Cult of Water, which David is putting on here in Hastings. And also there's a podcast I think you have, which is The Waterfront, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And David, I'd love David obviously speak and tell you his story, but you're a published author and all sorts of things, so we're in for a real treat to have David here tonight. Is very exciting. So thank you, David. In a minute I will call on David to come and talk. The next speaker we have is Glenys Jacques, who I've referenced, and you're over there. Glenys, as I mentioned before, has done an Ouija. Glenys has done her Ouija, and Glenys is going to be talking to us about Requiem, Cosmos, and the Forever Voice. So that is going to be very moving, and that will come up second. There'll be a break just before we hear from Glenys. Very excited about that. And then finally, we have Stephen Brown. He's going to talk to us about the wonderful world of free adventure games. Now, I will just tell you, in relation to Stephen, that Stephen is also entitled to the very first prestigious Flavea Award, which I have here, and it's a unicorn. Stephen is entitled to this award tonight because Stephen gave a KP Light wildcard in Christmas. If anyone was here at Christmas, you'd have heard Stephen talking about James Bond and Brussels sprouts, I think, for a minute and a half. And then, of course, as I mentioned, in February, you did an Uja Kapibi claiming that you'd been in a naked calendar, which I think you said was for a children's home, and you'd come across it on the internet, in an internet forum. And you did that, and you fooled the audience. They didn't believe you, and then that they were wrong, and you had done that. And you weren't arrested. So Stephen tonight will finish the night for us, and he will talk about the wonderful world of free adventure games, and I've heard Stephen talk about this, and it's a great talk. And by doing that, he will have done, of course, the triple, which has never been done before, probably because this event hasn't been going that long, possibly. But he will then get entitled to the wonderful unicorn that I purchased today for you. So there you are. So that's it. I shall now shut up, and I'm going to hand over to David, who is going to tell us about his life as a time traveller. So thank you very much. Right.